Chapter 246. Hua Qinhuan's clothes were indeed buttonless today. Considering that he had to match it with the scarf that Su Yiyan had given him, Hua Qinhuan did not wear his usual suit today. Instead, he wore a casual pullover. Because of this, he had wanted to say something but stopped himself. He did not know how to cover up his silly wife's lie that was destined to fail. Qing Juanhao had already been provoked by the scene when he barged in. Now that he learned that Su Yiyan had lied to him, he said bitterly, "Yan Yan, you actually lied to your uncle. Just to cover up your relationship with this guy, you even lied to your uncle. You weren't like this before." Qing Juanhao glanced at Hua Qinhuan as he said this. His eyes seemed to say, "It's all your fault. You've led our family's honest, cute, innocent, and kind child astray." Hua Qinhuan, who was staring at the big black pot flying at her, was speechless. "Uncle, you're exaggerating. Qinhuan and I are a couple. We haven't seen each other for so long. Now that we finally see each other, isn't it normal for us to be intimate in the house?" "But uncle, how could you barge in without saying anything? You scared us." Qing Juanhao, who felt that he had been blamed, could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. His face darkened as he said, "Even if you two are a couple, you're not officially married yet. You can't be too intimate." Su Yiyan blushed slightly and giggled. "We'll be married in 2 days. 2 more days won't make a difference." Hua Qinhuan's lips curled up slightly. She was obviously looking forward to the wedding that was soon to come. Qing Juanhao was speechless. Not only did the cabbage that he raised jump into the pigsty, but it also eagerly ran into the pig's mouth. What should he do? How infuriating. "Uncle, you're right. We shouldn't be too intimate before we're married. It's my fault. It's your fault to begin with. Don't think that I can't tell that you're taking advantage of Yan Yan. You're the type of person who wants to pretend to be innocent after taking advantage of others. What's wrong? Now you're saying that you shouldn't be too close to Yan Yan. Is it wrong for you to be close to him?" Hua Qinhuan, who had been ridiculed for no reason, sure enough, no matter how wise and powerful the men of the Qing and Su families were outside, they were not to be offended. However, when it came to the matters of the women in the family, they were like lit firecrackers. They did not recognize their own family, and whoever got close to them would be unlucky. Uncle, don't talk too much. We really didn't do anything." Qing Juanhao snorted coldly. "It's because I came too fast that I didn't make it in time." Su Yiyan. "You're right." Not daring to continue on this topic, Su Yiyan hurriedly changed the topic. "Uncle, why did you suddenly come to find me?" "It's nothing. I heard from the receptionist that your friend was here, so I wanted to come and take a look. In the end, I didn't expect to see you as soon as I came in." Luckily I came quickly. Otherwise, in broad daylight, in such a public place, without even locking the door, you dared. There are so many people outside." Qing Juanhao got angrier as he spoke. Su Yiyan didn't think too much of it at first, but the more she listened, the more she felt that something was wrong. Her face flushed red. No, uncle, you're really thinking too much. We really just wanted to kiss and hug each other. We definitely didn't have such thoughts in broad daylight. Please stop your dangerous thoughts." Chapter 247. Stop. "Uncle, let's not talk about this anymore." Su Yiyan looked at Qing Juanhao almost pleadingly, like a soft little kitten, pitifully begging to be let go. Qing Juanhao choked. In the end, he snorted reluctantly and did not continue the topic. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. She turned to look at Hua Qinhuan and said, "Uncle, there are so many customers in front. Don't you need to keep an eye on them? I can take care of them here." Qing Juanhao was so angry that he almost laughed. The anger that he had suppressed with great difficulty rose again. He snorted and said, "There are so many people in front. I don't need to keep an eye on them all the time. But you too. Why are you in such a hurry to send me away? What do you want?" Su Yiyan looked at her uncle's expression that said, "I've already seen through what you want to do. You'd better behave yourselves." The corner of her mouth twitched. She said helplessly, "Uncle, you're really thinking too much. I'm just worried that there are too many people in front. Today is the first day of the restaurant's opening. Li Jingwen and the others are inexperienced. If something really happens, they won't be as skillful as you." Qing Juanhao still wanted to say something, but Hua Qinhuan had already grabbed Su Yiyan's hand. She took the initiative to give him a way out and said, "It's okay. There are many people in your restaurant. If something really happens and you can't solve it, they will definitely come to you and Uncle to discuss it. It just so happens that this is the first time I'm meeting Uncle. Let's sit down and have a meal together and chat." Qing Juanhao's face darkened. He wanted to say that they were not even married yet, but because Hua Qinhuan had just given him a way out, he could not go too far. He could only reluctantly warn them, "Just talk. Don't touch me." The two people who were secretly holding hands, as soon as Qing Juanhao sat down, the two of them could not be as lovey-dovey as before. Su Yiyan made a phone call and ordered some medicinal cuisine suitable for Hua Qinhuan's physique. As soon as the food arrived, Su Yiyan did not hesitate to pile a lot of food into Hua Qinhuan's bowl. Seeing this, Qing Juanhao felt sour the whole time. He felt as if he had suddenly become bald, and the top of his head was shining brightly. "I was going to ask someone to deliver it to you later, but I didn't expect you to come first. These are all made by my new employees. Try them and see if they're different from mine." Hua Qinhuan nodded and tasted a few mouthfuls. She said honestly, "It's not as good as yours." This was a familiar statement. She didn't know if she really felt that way or if Hua Qinhuan's filter was playing tricks on her. The corners of Su Yiyan's lips curled up slightly as he defended the good seedlings of his own family. "It's already good that they've done so well in just a few days. If I train them a little more, the shop can be handed over to them a little more in the future. I can also be a little more free." "Okay." Qing Juanhao saw that the two of them were talking as if there was no one else around, and he was left out in the cold. His face darkened slightly. Cough, cough, cough. Su Yiyan was slightly startled. This very familiar cough made her quickly realize that she had neglected her uncle. She hurriedly picked up a few dishes for him. Qing Juanhao's expression became better. While eating the dishes that Su Yiyan had picked up for him, he secretly sized up this future junior. He was good-looking, and it could be seen that he really cared about Yan Yan. Yan Yan also had a good impression of him. His family background could be considered to be well matched with Yan Yan's. It was a pity that his legs. Chapter 248. Qing Juanhao, who realized that he had discovered the truth, looked at Hua Qinhuan with jealousy in his eyes. After hesitating for a moment, he couldn't help but ask, "Is your leg still under treatment?" As soon as Qing Juanhao said that, both of them paused. Su Yiyan looked at Hua Qinhuan nervously, afraid that he would be angry and sad because of her uncle's words. Hua Qinhuan saw her worry and took the initiative to shake her hand under the table. "Not now. The hospital doesn't have any treatment methods for the time being." Qing Juanhao was slightly stunned. Before he could say anything, Su Yiyan said, "It's only temporary." Hua Qinhuan was stunned. He turned his head and met Su Yiyan's determined and serious eyes. "It's only temporary." Hua Qinhuan's heart skipped a beat. He replied in a low voice, "Okay." Qing Juanhao, who was ignored and stuffed with dog food after saying a few words. Well, there was no need to ask. It must be like this. Wasn't he just a bastard? How could his Yan be so loyal to him? The more Qing Juanhao thought about it, the angrier he got. In the end, he turned his anger into appetite and successfully stuffed himself. After that, without needing Su Yiyan to chase him away, Qing Juanhao didn't want to stay and eat dog food. He touched his full stomach and left the small private room as if he was escaping. However, after lunch, Su Yiyan and Hu Qinhuan still had work to do, so they didn't stay in the restaurant for too long. When Su Yiyan sent Hu Qinhuan out, she suddenly handed a bag to him. Here, this is for you. What is it? Hu Qinhuan took the bag and glanced at it. He found that it was actually a scarf. A crooked and strange-looking white knitted scarf. Hu Qinhuan's doubts and astonishment disappeared in a flash. Suddenly, a bold guess appeared in her mind. Did you knit this yourself? Su Yiyan lowered her head in embarrassment. It's a little ugly. Make do with it for now. When I'm more familiar with it, I'll knit a more beautiful one for you. Hu Qinhuan subconsciously tightened her grip on the bag. No, I like it very much. Can you help me put it on? Su Yiyan met Hu Qinhuan's gaze. She blushed slightly as she took off the scarf around Hu Qinhuan's neck and put on the one she knitted for him. Hu Qinhuan's previous linen scarf complemented her clothes very well. Now that she had suddenly changed into this one, it was like a handsome man suddenly being put in a gunny sack. If it weren't for Hu Qinhuan's own good looks, he would have turned from a rich man to a rich man in a second. Su Yiyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She couldn't bear to look at it directly. Sure enough, it's still too ugly. I'll take it back and knit it again. Hu Qinhuan held Su Yiyan's hand that reached out to grab the scarf. No, it's very warm. It's very good. Su Yiyan blushed. She was embarrassed that the thing she gave out was too ugly, but she also felt sweet that Hu Qinhuan didn't mind that her hand was too clumsy. Hu Qinhuan stared at Su Yiyan's face, but his hand quietly touched her fingers that were rougher than the last time they met. He said in a hoarse voice, "Why did you suddenly think of knitting a scarf for me?" Su Yiyan withdrew her hand guiltily and didn't dare to look at Hu Qinhuan's eyes. Last time when we went shopping together, didn't we meet a couple? At that time, the girl said that she wanted to knit a scarf for her boyfriend. At that time, I was thinking that buying a scarf was not as good as knitting one yourself. Chapter 249. Hu Qinhuan immediately understood what she meant. He reached out to hold her hand again and said solemnly, "I'm very happy that you're so considerate, but next time, don't do something that you're not good at. I don't want to see you get hurt." When Su Yiyan heard his words, she wanted to dig a hole and hide in it. Perhaps it was because her cooking skills had been upgraded too smoothly, but she was really messed up when it came to knitting sweaters. Other people were poking at the wool, but she was poking at her own hand. Even though the needle used to knit the towel had been rounded, she couldn't stand poking at it for a few days. "I know. I'll be careful next time." "Okay," Hu Qinhuan said in a low voice as he sat in the car with the scarf, "See you in 3 days." The smile on Su Yiyan's face immediately deepened. 3 days later was the day of their official wedding. In the next 3 days, they definitely wouldn't be able to see each other again. But it didn't matter. The short separation now was for a longer time in the future. In the end, Su Yiyan couldn't help but lean over and kiss Hu Qinhuan. She smiled and said, "Dear customer, once the store manager sells something, he will not return it. Remember to pick me up early in 3 days." After she finished speaking, she didn't wait for Hu Qinhuan's reaction. She turned around and ran away, just like the scene when they first got engaged. Hu Qinhuan touched the place where he was kissed. The corners of his mouth curved slightly, and he replied in a low voice, "Okay." Early the next morning, Yu Zian and the others were shocked to hear that the young master, who had always been unwilling to leave the old mansion and only held high-level meetings online, had taken the initiative to go to the company to take a look. He wanted to personally listen to the company's high-level executives' in-depth quarterly performance reports. All of a sudden, the executives of the companies under Hua Qinhuan felt insecure. They were afraid that the big boss would criticize them in person because they hadn't done well recently. Would they be able to come back in one piece? As a result, as Hua Qinhuan's most favored and trusted subordinates, Yu Zian and the others were surrounded by many anxious executives as soon as they arrived at the company. "Mr. Yu, what happened? Why did the big boss suddenly come to the company? What kind of high-level meeting is this? Did someone make a big mistake at work recently and got caught by the boss? Little Gu, tell me honestly. Did boss suffer some kind of shock? Previously, the meetings were only held at home. Why did they suddenly have to meet face to face?" Although Uncle Hua had been in the company for a long time, he still felt weak in the knees when he stood in front of President Hua. Was he really okay? Can you give me a heads up so that I can be mentally prepared? Gu Xiaoyang and the other two were also troubled by the group of people's questions. They laughed dryly and said, "Don't be too nervous. Young master just wants to gather everyone together to do a year-end report. He doesn't mean anything else. Don't scare yourselves." Everyone frowned slightly, not knowing if they should believe his words. Just then, someone suddenly asked, "Manager Zhua, you look so calm. Do you know something?" Everyone's eyes immediately focused on Zhua Yanbai. As the only person who had been by Hua Qinhuan's side yesterday and witnessed the whole thing, Zhua Yanbai was indeed very calm. Chapter 250. The executives present were dumbfounded. Scarf. What does this have to do with boss's scarf? Zhua Yanbai could not reveal too much at once. He coughed softly and said, "That's all I can tell you." This. The executives wanted to ask more, but they were interrupted by Gu Xiaoyang. Since Yanbai said so, he must have his reasons. Believe it or not, it's up to you. In short, don't say that young master's scarf is ugly if you don't want to die. If you want to live, praise young master's scarf more. That's all. Since Gu Xiaoyang had already said so much, it was not appropriate for them to continue asking. They just silently pondered what the scarf that he had emphasized so much was. Their doubts were quickly answered. The moment they saw Hua Qinhuan, the executives present finally understood why Zhua Yanbai reminded them not to say that boss's scarf was ugly. It was because this scarf was really a little ugly. Not to mention the size of the stitches, there were no patterns on it. Fortunately, Hua Qinhuan was now wearing it around her neck when she met them. If she took it off, the whole scarf would be slanted up and down. This made the perfectionists and obsessive-compulsive patients, who were used to seeing beautiful scarves knitted with precision instruments, feel very uncomfortable. However, for the sake of their lives, they could not say anything no matter how uncomfortable they felt. They did not even dare to show it on their faces. Hua Qinhuan did not care about their evasive gazes. She went straight to the point and said, "This should be the first time in many years that we are sitting face to face in an office like this." When the executives heard this, their hearts could not help but tremble. Then, they heard Hua Qinhuan say, "You don't have to be nervous. I called you here today to listen to your reports on the development and profits of the company's various departments in the past quarter and the past year." Although she said this, just sitting face to face with Hua Qinhuan was already a psychological battle for most of the executives in the room. How could they not be nervous? Hua Qinhuan's gaze swept over everyone and finally settled on Yu Zian. "You go first. The rest of you can continue." Many people instantly cast sympathetic looks at Yu Zian. They all worked under the same boss, so they had heard about what had happened to the live streaming website that Yu Zian was in charge of. It wasn't easy for them to spend a lot of resources to bring up the number one sister in the food section. This sister also had the intention to develop in the entertainment industry. They thought that she would bring a lot of traffic to the website. Who knew that once a person became popular, they would become arrogant. After becoming arrogant, they would seek death. They had forcefully destroyed most of their reputation and caused the resources of the website to go down the drain. This was a huge mistake for Yuzian as the person in charge. Today, he was the first to be singled out by the big boss. He was afraid that the bird that stood out would be shot down. He was unlucky. However, what these people didn't know was that the calmest person in the room was none other than Yuzian. This was because he had long since latched onto the golden thigh of someone who was immune to death. He had nothing to fear. Chapter 251. All the supervisors in the room watched as their boss's right-hand man spent the next 5 or 6 minutes flattering a new female streamer on their company's live streaming platform. They all felt a trace of doubt in their hearts. Did this guy take the wrong medicine? After their doubts, many people couldn't help but feel a little nervous and fearful. Boss Yu, who was in the top position, suddenly went crazy for no reason. Boss Yu would definitely be unhappy if he heard this. Once the city gates caught fire, how could they, the fish in the moat, survive? For a moment, everyone in the room was in a state of panic. Unexpectedly, after Yuzian finished flattering him, Boss Yu didn't get angry as they had expected. Instead, he agreed and said, "Well, that's good. Keep up the good work, everyone." Yuzian nodded reservedly and smiled slightly. "It's because Miss is a good person. It's our company's blessing to be able to sign her." Hua Qinhuan looked up and glanced at him. She seemed to be a little dissatisfied with him calling her Miss, but she didn't say anything. She just replied in a low voice, "Yes. Everyone." What the f*ck? Other than the two people involved, Cui Yanbai and Gu Xiaoyang were the only two people who knew the truth. They couldn't help but look at Yuzian with disdain. Using the young mistress as a shield, this guy was too shameless. Yuzian sat down leisurely under the shocked and disdainful gazes of the people in the room. He thought happily that it felt good to ride on someone's coattails. No wonder everyone wanted to ride on someone's coattails these days. As soon as Yuzian sat down, another senior executive next to him stood up spontaneously and reported his work in a well-behaved manner. Everything seemed to be slowly getting on the right track. What Yuzian had said before, on the contrary, seemed to stand out. The atmosphere in the room gradually calmed down. Only the trembling voices of the senior executives could be heard faintly. Hua Qinhuan sat in the main seat, but she seemed a little absent-minded. From time to time, she touched the soft tail under the scarf. Until one of the department managers said that his department had made a certain loss in the previous quarter, and that the total revenue and expenditure for the whole year were barely balanced, or even a small loss. This was quite normal for other companies. After all, if there were profits in business, there would be losses. As long as the losses were not too big, it would not be too difficult. But in this situation, it made people feel as if a storm was coming. The atmosphere in the office became inexplicably heavy. Almost everyone's eyes were focused on Hua Qinhuan. The department head met Hua Qinhuan's emotionless gaze. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead, and his eyes were filled with despair. This suffocating silence lasted for about 10 seconds. The supervisor swallowed hard and suddenly thought of something. He said tentatively, "Ahem. President, the scarf you're wearing today is really nice." As soon as he said this, the atmosphere in the office became even more subtle. The supervisor regretted it the moment he finished speaking. Why would he mention a scarf in such an occasion? Wasn't that just asking for trouble? Who else would he criticize if not you? However, to everyone's surprise, the big boss, who everyone thought would not respond, replied, "Yes, I think so too." Everyone in the room suddenly widened their eyes. Some of the people with weaker mental fortitude could not help but gasp. Chapter 252. The supervisor's body stiffened. He couldn't tell if Hu Chenhuan was happy or not. He had no choice but to brace himself and say, "It's beautiful. Look at this material, it's especially expensive and soft. It must be very warm around your neck. Also, the design of this scarf looks very complicated. The person who made this scarf must have put in a lot of effort to be able to patiently make such a big scarf." As soon as he finished speaking, Zui Yanbai and the others couldn't help but want to give this person a thumbs up. It was one thing to praise the scarf, but he had even self-taught himself to praise the person who made the scarf. He had hit the bullseye. What a genius! What Zui Yanbai and the others didn't know was that this person had really hit the nail on the head. Because he couldn't praise the scarf, he had to find another way to praise the person who made the scarf. Obviously, he had made the right bet. After listening to his words, everyone present keenly felt that the big boss's face had suddenly softened. What was the secret of this scarf? How could it make the big boss change his expression? Don't do it again. Go back and write a summary report and a guarantee for next year. If you continue to lose money next year. Hu Chenhuan glanced at him. The company doesn't keep idle people. The supervisor's eyes lit up. He hurriedly said, "Thank you, President. I will definitely write it well." This punishment seemed severe, but it was actually much better than usual. Everyone in the company knew that the company didn't keep idle people. Most of the people who could sit in the top positions of the company were very capable. These people didn't mean that they couldn't make mistakes, but they couldn't make mistakes in principle. Moreover, they had to bring benefits to the company. If they couldn't do it, it could only mean that they weren't capable enough. Although they wouldn't be fired, if it was serious, they would have to voluntarily give up their position and give it to other capable people. This supervisor's matter would have been investigated for a long time under normal circumstances. Now, he was simply asked to write 2 reports and it was over. It was tantamount to a pie falling from the sky. The people present weren't fools. They finally understood the good intentions behind Zui Yanbai's words. As a result, there would always be people who would intentionally or unintentionally praise Hu Chenhuan's scarf during the reporting process. The atmosphere was unexpectedly harmonious for a while. Relying on the scarves to protect their bodies, the group of senior executives finally got through the reporting difficulty without any mishap. Hu Chenhuan glanced at the crowd and asked, "What about the piece of land that Hu Qihan and his son wanted?" After many rounds of negotiations, they have already obtained that piece of land and are preparing for a new round of property development. Very good. Find an opportunity to get someone to leak out the problem with the underground. Send a copy of the previous exploration report to the higher-ups and lead them to investigate. The person in charge of this matter felt a chill in his heart. He lit a candle for the family Hua and his son, who were about to be unlucky. Their big boss was really efficient in dealing with these weird relatives without any hesitation. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the family Hua was in big trouble. However, they couldn't blame their boss for being ruthless. It was just that that family was too inhumane. Karma was just retribution. Find more work for them in the next 2 days. Don't let them run around and disgust people. He had been looking forward to the wedding for so long. He would never allow that family to spoil the fun. Then your wedding with Miss Su. Hu Chenhuan knew what Zui Yanbai wanted to ask. She smiled foolishly and said, "I didn't invite them. Neither did the Su family." Chapter 253. When they came out of the meeting room, the group of glamorous, capable, and domineering elites in the industry looked as if they had just been fished out of the water. Their faces were pale and their backs were wet. You scared me to death just now. I thought I was going to die here today. Who said you weren't? When the boss looked at you just now, I was sweating. That look in his eyes was really scary. But you're smart. You suddenly mentioned the boss's scarf. He, I was desperate. I suddenly remembered what managers was said before and couldn't help but take a gamble. As soon as he said this, everyone's eyes fell on Zui Yanbai. Managers what kind of artifact is the boss's scarf? How could the boss value it so much? It's not an artifact. It's just that the person who knitted it is someone the boss cares about. Love the boss, love the boss. Someone he cares about. Could it be? A few of them wanted to ask more, but Zui Yanbai and the others had already left. That afternoon, the managers' phones vibrated at the same time. When they opened it, they realized that it was a rare status update from the boss that they had paid special attention to. When they clicked on it, they saw the familiar picture of the scarf. Big boss, does this scarf look good? Everyone, after all, they had complimented it once before. Now that they had experience, their compliments were more sincere than before. In an instant, the post was filled with a bunch of flattery from the higher-ups. A few minutes later, the corners of Hua Qinhuan's lips curled up slightly as he looked at the rainbow farts. Satisfied, he picked the one with the most likes and asked where the scarf had been bought. He replied, "My wife knitted it for me. I couldn't buy it." Everyone. Damn, so it was knitted by the madam herself. No wonder the boss treasured it so much. They really couldn't tell that the boss, who had such a terrifying aura, was actually doting on his wife at home. What a surprise. Su Yiyan, who had no idea that she had attracted the attention of all the higher-ups in Hua Qinhuan's company, suddenly felt her nose itch and couldn't help but sneeze loudly. Oh, who's talking about me behind my back? While Hua Qinhuan was secretly showing off her love, the reputation of the first wave of customers in Su Yiyan's restaurant was finally revealed. The real world was different from the internet. Even if there were people from the research institute who spoke up for Su Yiyan, most of the people still held a wait-and-see attitude and did not dare to try it out. When the first batch of diners came out and reported how delicious the food was and what changes happened to their bodies after eating it, many people began to get restless. This restlessness ushered in a small eruption the next day. The first was a middle-aged balding man who posted a comparison of pictures before and after he went to the carnival. Before this, his head was completely bald, and it could be said that not even a blade of grass grew on it. But this morning, there was actually a lot of black stubble on his bald head. Although he might not be able to feel it, at least it was growing. As soon as this person posted it, many people's first reaction was not surprise but doubt. They felt that this was a marketing strategy of the carnival restaurant, deliberately leading people to spend money in their restaurant. Chapter 254. With so much tap water, the restaurant's reputation was quickly improved. Even if some people suspected that they were paid to be a water army, it still couldn't stop the patients who were troubled by their illnesses from being moved by such a large number of positive comments. After a period of psychological struggle, many people finally made up their minds. When they gathered in front of the restaurant from all directions, they suddenly heard two pieces of bad news. One was that the restaurant was limited to 300 orders a day, and this order was now scheduled until next week. The other was, because the store manager is getting married, the restaurant will be closed for 3 days and will continue to open on XX. This announcement is hereby made. Please forgive the guests. A group of guests who came because of the restaurant's reputation looked at the signboard in front of the restaurant. They only felt a gust of cold wind blowing in their faces, bringing up pieces of fallen leaves on the road. It was incomparably desolate. No, the restaurant had only been open for 3 days, and now it was closed for 2 days. How could they be so lazy? Could they be a little more enterprising? The guests who came specially to eat but didn't get to eat, instead, they were treated with a stomach full of dog food. They strongly condemned this. Su Yiyan didn't care about this. She was now wholeheartedly focused on her own wedding. Although it was a little rushed, whether it was her own family or Hu Chenhuan's side, they all attached great importance to this wedding. Hu Chenhuan also really fulfilled his original promise to Su Yiyan's father. As long as others had something, Su Yiyan would have it, and she had more than anyone else. Early in the morning, Ling Xiaoqi and 2 other little sisters of the Qing family came to the Su family's house early. They accompanied Su Yiyan to put on makeup and change into bridesmaid clothes. When they changed and came out, Su Yiyan also changed into a wedding dress. The snow-white shaped-down wedding dress highlighted Su Yiyan's figure. The thin slanted lining with the fluffy skirt could be said to satisfy many girls' beautiful dreams of a wedding. The bouquet was mainly white-pink roses, but in the center, there were 3 blue roses that's Su Yiyan's favorite, which meant, I love you. Yan Yan, you're so beautiful in this. Ling Xiaoqi circled Su Yiyan several times, her eyes full of amazement and envy. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed, and she smiled faintly. Are you envious? If you're envious, then find a good man to marry early. You can wear it yourself. Ling Xiaoqi was startled, and her face instantly turned red. What are you talking about? You're not serious about this big day. It's because it's a big day. Su Yiyan held Ling Xiaoqi's hand and said seriously, I'm serious. Don't be disappointed in all men because of your mother. There are so many men in this world. Although there are scumbags, there will always be a few good men. Keep your eyes open and find the second best one. Ling Xiaoqi's life experience was quite complicated. Compared to Wen Jingping, who pretended to be ignorant, Ling Xiaoqi's mother was the real third party. Ling Xiaoqi's mother and biological father met in university. At that time, her mother didn't know that her boyfriend was already engaged, and the 2 families had planned to hold a wedding after both parties graduated. Ling Xiaoqi's mother was already pregnant with Ling Xiaoqi when she found out about this. She was so shocked that she almost had a miscarriage. However, she was also a fierce person. After knowing that she was cheated by a scumbag, she quickly broke off the relationship with the scumbag and took the child in her belly away. Chapter 255. Ling Xiaoqi's mother had never hidden these things from her daughter. Therefore, Ling Xiaoqi hated her biological father to the core. In her previous life, around this time, Ling Xiaoqi's biological father came looking for her, wanting to take her back. The reason was that he had a son with his wife, his fiancée. Originally, he was counting on his son to inherit the family business, but unexpectedly, his son died in an accident a few months ago. Due to his early injuries, he was unable to have another child. Seeing that he was about to die without any descendants, he finally remembered Ling Xiaoqi and her son. He wanted to take Ling Xiaoqi back and help her arrange a marriage so that she could give birth to a grandson to inherit his family business. When Ling Xiaoqi found out about this, she was so disgusted that she couldn't take it. But later, when she found out that her family's capital chain was in trouble, she actually went back to that disgusting home behind her back, wanting to help her. In the end, she was killed by that crazy woman who had lost her son and was heartbroken by her husband. She didn't even have time to meet a man who was good to her, loved her, and protected her. When Ling Xiaoqi heard Su Yiyan's words, she was stunned for a moment. Then, she smiled helplessly and said, if you want me to find the second best man, then what about the best man? Su Yiyan snorted coldly and said proudly, the best man is of course the one in my family. Even if you're my best friend, it's useless. I definitely won't let you have him. How dare you? Ling Xiaoqi, who was caught off guard, wanted to hit someone. As the two were talking, Qing Shuqin rushed in from outside and said, it's almost the auspicious time. Are you ready? It's time to go out. Okay, we're going out now. Considering the security issues and the possibility that some people who didn't like them might come and cause trouble, the location of the wedding was set to be on the island where Hu Qinhuan had proposed to Su Yiyan. One could only enter the island with an invitation. Everything on the island began to be prepared after the proposal. In addition to Su Yiyan's favorite flowers, there were also a large number of wedding gifts, fireworks, and ribbons. The wedding scene was decorated with dreamy colors, beautiful and warm. Dad, are you nervous? Su Yiyan held Mr. Su's hand and could feel his anxiety at the moment. She could not help but ask in a low voice. Mr. Su's face was cold as he shook his head. I'm not nervous. Then are you unhappy? His precious daughter, whom he had raised with great difficulty, was about to be married off. How could he be happy? After a moment of silence, Mr. Su chose a more tactful way to put it. I just miss you. This was an expected answer. Su Yiyan smiled and hugged his arm. Dad, don't be sad. Even if I'm married, I'm still your daughter. You didn't lose me. On the contrary, you even have a son. Isn't that great? Mr. Su was speechless. I'm well educated. Don't try to fool me. Although he was depressed, Mr. Su still considered the big picture. He knew that his two children loved each other. As a parent, he couldn't break them up and make them sad. He could only cheer himself up and say, let's go. I'll walk you there. Okay. Melodious music sounded. Su Yiyan walked forward step by step under everyone's gaze, accompanied by her father. She knew that someone was waiting for her at the end of the road. Chapter 256. The moment they clasped their hands, the smiles on the corners of their mouths unconsciously deepened a little. Seeing this scene, Su Yanyan's father felt a little upset. He felt depressed as if his treasure that he had cherished for many years had suddenly been stolen, but he had to let go. I'll leave Yan to you. Treat her well. Otherwise, neither her brother nor I will let this go. Hu Qinhuan held Su Yiyan's hand tightly and promised solemnly, I understand. Don't worry. Su Yanyan's father's expression became a little better, and he sensibly stepped aside. The wedding vows at the wedding were more or less the same, but this time, Su Yiyan tried to change the vows according to their own situation. Miss Su Yiyan, are you willing to marry Mr. Hu Qinhuan as your wife? No matter in the past or present life, in sickness and in health, in prosperity and in adversity, you will love him without reservation, worship him, take care of him, never leave him, and be loyal to him forever? Hearing this vows, Hu Qinhuan's heart couldn't help but tremble. An inexplicable emotion rose and fell, and it was indescribably complicated. Su Yiyan turned to look at the people who were accompanying her, and said with a smile, I do. Mr. Hu Qinhuan, are you willing to marry Miss Su Yiyan as your wife? No matter in the past or present life, in sickness and in health, in prosperity and in adversity, you will love her without reservation, respect her, love her, never leave her, and be loyal to her forever? Hu Qinhuan was still stunned by this vows, and he didn't speak for a long time. The people below began to talk about it, and the faces of Qing Shuqin and the others darkened a little. Su Yiyan didn't hear an answer, so she turned her head and called out in confusion, Qinhuan. Hu Qinhuan suddenly woke up, I do. I now announce that Mr. Hu Qinhuan and Miss Su Yiyan are officially married from today onwards. Now, the two newlyweds can exchange wedding rings. Zhou Yanbai and Ling Xiaoqi held the rings for the two of them. The beautiful and simple rings were more similar to the previous proposal rings. They looked intimate and warm. Moreover, the inside of the rings were engraved with their names in capital letters. The meaning was self-evident. After exchanging the rings, Su Yiyan didn't need the people around him to make a fuss. He couldn't wait to lower his head and kiss Hu Chenhuan's lips. Hu Chenhuan was stunned for a moment before replying with a faint smile. The crowd below was dumbfounded by this scene. When they came back to their senses, they also began to applaud as if they wanted to see the world in chaos. Qing Shuqin and the others felt a little helpless, but they also knew that their daughter really loved Hu Chenhuan. They looked at the two of them with joy and jealousy. After the kiss, Su Yiyan lowered her head and touched Hu Chenhuan's forehead. She smiled and said, "Mr. Hua, please guide me for the rest of my life." Hu Chenhuan's deep eyes instantly softened into a pool of water, and he replied in a hoarse voice, "Miss Su, please guide me for the rest of my life." After that, the two of them couldn't help laughing. There was a banquet after the wedding. Because of the joke that Hu Qihan's family had made before, Hu Chenhuan and the Su family had done their best to invite almost everyone in the upper class to the wedding banquet. The scale of the banquet was not small. Naturally, there were some people who had a good relationship with Hu Qihan's family. When they saw that Hu Chenhuan and the Su family didn't invite Hu Qihan's family to the wedding, they couldn't help but secretly feel indignant for them. Chapter 257. Isn't that right? Even if the Su family had some bad blood with them before, they can't exclude their own brother from this big day. After all, he was the one who raised the family Hua after old master and old Madam Su passed away. Now that he's all grown up, he's turning his back on them. How disappointing. These gossipers were just short of pointing fingers at Hu Chenhuan and calling him an ungrateful wretch. Speaking of which, this Miss Su is really funny. She just had her engagement broken off by the young master of the family Hua, and now she's engaged to the young uncle of the family Hua. What do you think she's after? She's just trying to get back at him. Don't you know that young master Hua broke off the engagement because he had a girlfriend? He's found his true love, and his family is so much better off than the Su family. Why should he swallow his pride and be with a girl he doesn't like? Someone frowned in displeasure. They were engaged, after all. If young master Hua doesn't like her, he should have broken off the engagement and found someone else. He went behind her back and broke off the engagement in front of so many people. No matter how you look at it, before this person could finish, a plump, middle-aged woman adorned in jewels cut her off. Her face was full of disdain. That's because she's useless. She can't even keep an eye on her own man. She deserves to be broken off the engagement, she said. As soon as these words left her mouth, a few of the better-educated ladies frowned and instinctively took a few steps back to distance themselves from these people. These people were in a cesspool and wanted to drag others down with them. They weren't that stupid. These people had no idea that they were being ostracized. They continued to mock the couple's marriage in high spirits. If you ask me, this Miss Su is really stupid. She's marrying a cripple just to get back at them. I'm afraid she'll never be able to make a name for herself in this lifetime. Don't say that. Uncle Hua is a member of the family Hua, after all. How can he not have any assets? Who knows how much money he spent on this island? Most people can't earn that much in a lifetime. The Su family isn't a rich family. Isn't it a good idea to wait for her to die of exhaustion, inherit the inheritance, and then find a man to marry? As soon as he said that, the crowd burst into laughter. The island is beautiful, but who knows if Uncle Hua rented it just for show. Furthermore, I've heard that although this family Hua's youngest uncle looks like a decent person, his personality isn't that good. But that's also true. It's inevitable that he would have some mental distortion if he couldn't even stand up. I'm afraid that Miss Su won't have a good life after marrying over. She pretends to be beautiful on the surface, but who knows how badly she'll be abused in private. It's her own fault for being so stupid. Of all the people she could have married, she chose to marry a cripple like him. Her family didn't even try to stop her. What a money grubber. Marrying her daughter to this kind of person for a few cents is no different than selling her off. As soon as the man finished speaking, a cold female voice suddenly came from behind him. I don't know if my child is stupid or not, but I'm sure some people who like to gossip about others behind their backs aren't very smart. The person who had spoken had kept her voice low. She had thought that only the people around her had heard her, so she hadn't expected to be pointed out. She immediately became nervous. Who was eavesdropping on me? Chapter 258. The noise was so loud that the guests nearby were all dumbfounded. A few seconds later, a few people who were talking to the person who fell finally reacted. They went forward to help her up and screamed, "What are you doing?" The person who hit her sneered and crossed her fingers, making a frightening cracking sound. You're talking bad about my niece behind her back, and you're asking me what I'm doing. They were frightened by her words and their faces turned pale. When they opened their mouths to speak, Su Yiyan and the others had already noticed the noise and looked over. Aunt! Su Yiyan's eyes lit up when she saw them. She picked up her long skirt and ran over to them. Su Yuding couldn't help but complain, slow down, slow down. You're already married, but you're still so impatient. What if you fall? I know what I'm doing. Aunt, when did you arrive? Why didn't you tell me in advance that someone would pick you up? I thought you wouldn't be able to make it back. The woman in front of her looked to be in her early 30s and was wearing a short skirt. She was Su Yiyan's aunt, Su Yuding, Mr. Su's sister. Although Su Yuding was adopted by Su Yiyan's grandparents and was not related to Mr. Su by blood, she had a very good relationship with the Su family. It was just that in recent years, she had been traveling everywhere. Before Su Yiyan's wedding, Qing Shiqin and the others had tried to contact her. At that time, she was still bungee jumping in a faraway place and would try to come back as soon as possible. They didn't receive a reply from her this morning, so they thought she was delayed by something else and couldn't make it back. They didn't expect, I arrived this morning. How could I not be at your wedding? I wanted to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect that there would be some twists and turns on the way, so I couldn't make it to your wedding ceremony. Su Yuding pursed her lips and was a little unhappy when she said this. At this moment, Hu Chenhuan and the others also came over. Gu Xiaoyang went to Hu Chenhuan and said a few words to him. Hu Chenhuan narrowed her eyes dangerously and said apologetically, "It's our fault for not being well prepared. Aunt met someone she shouldn't have met and ruined her mood." Someone I shouldn't have met. Su Yiyan looked at Su Yuding in confusion. Auntie, who did you meet? Su Yuding snorted, who else could it be? It's your big day. Don't you know what kind of blind people like to come and annoy you? Su Yiyan frowned and quickly reacted, Hu Xiaofeng. Auntie, did you meet Hu Xiaofeng? Where is he? Before Su Yuding could answer, Gu Xiaoyang had already coughed softly and held back his laughter. She was sent to the hospital by Miss Su. Qing Shiqin and the others had just arrived when they heard this. They asked curiously and excitedly, "Pfft, what's going on? What happened? Why is Hu Xiaofeng in the hospital again?" The word "again" could be said to be very eloquent. Gu Xiaoyang smiled under everyone's probing gazes and said, "It's like this. When Miss Su arrived, she happened to meet Hu Xiaofeng and his girlfriend who wanted to forcibly land on the island. The security guards at the edge of the island didn't receive their invitation and didn't want to let them on the island. The two sides had a dispute. Chapter 259. After hearing Gu Xiaoyang's words, the group of people looked at Su Yuding with astonishment and even fear. It seemed that they had never thought that such a beautiful and charming woman could be so lethal. Only the Su family was quite calm about this, especially Su Yiyan. Her skills were first learned from Su Yuding. Later, When Su Yuding started to travel around, her family found a few other good coaches to help her with the formal training system. Because of this, the relationship between the two was the best in the family, and their temperaments were quite similar. Su Yiyan was fine. She would at least say a few words before the fight. Su Yuding's temper was much more explosive. She was the type who would not talk much if she could fight. Hua Xiaofeng and Wen Jingping were really lucky. They could have met anyone, but they met Su Yuding and were sent to the hospital. Su Yiyan and the others did not have much sympathy for them. On the contrary, they were somewhat gloating. They did not even send invitations to the family Hua because they did not want to see the ugly faces of this group of idiots on this big day. They rushed to disgust them. Now that they were in the hospital, they could only curse that they deserved it. "Auntie, did you fight with them? Are you okay? What can happen to me? Even if there were 10 of them, they would not be able to defeat me. If it were not for your big day today, it would be inauspicious if something really happened. I would have pressed them into the water for a while." Su Yuding snorted coldly. She was not happy. She did not really want to kill the two people. She just thought that if they were soaked in the water for a while, their brains would be completely stupid. That would save them a lot of trouble. Su Yiyan understood her implication. She laughed and said, "Yes, yes, yes. I know that you are the best, Auntie. Let alone 1 or 2 soft-footed shrimps like Hua Xiaofeng, even if there were 10 or 8 of them, you would not care about them. However, it's all thanks to Aunt that my wedding with Chenhuan went so smoothly. This is all thanks to Aunt." Su Yuding subconsciously glanced at Hua Chenhuan, who was not far away. "Is this your husband?" Su Yiyan blushed and giggled. "Yes, Auntie, you can just call him Chenhuan. You look quite decent, but I don't know if you can protect yourself." Su Yuding narrowed her eyes and went straight to the point. "Niece-in-law, someone just mocked our family's Yan for marrying a disabled person and even mocked my brother and sister-in-law for selling their daughter. Are you going to do something about it?" "What?" Su Yuting's words made everyone's expression change. After the initial shock, the few of them seemed to have thought of something. Their eyes fell on the woman who was kicked to the ground by Su Yuding. Although she had already stood up with the help of others, her face was unusually miserable. "No, it's not like that. I didn't." It was true that the woman liked to gossip, but she was not completely brainless. Bad-mouthing people behind their backs and bad-mouthing people in front of them were two completely different things. She instinctively wanted to defend herself, but was interrupted by Su Yuding. "Do you mean that I wronged you?" Chapter 260. It was a light sentence, but it made those people feel an inexplicable chill run down their spines. "Don't slander us. We didn't say anything." "That's right. Just because she's from the Su family, you can't slander her like this." Su Yuding sneered. "I haven't even said what you said. Why are you feeling guilty?" They choked instantly. While they were arguing, Cui Yanbai had roughly told Hua Chenhuan about the identities and backgrounds of these people. Naturally, he also emphasized their relationship with Hua Qihan's family. Hua Chenhuan's eyes turned cold. "Mrs. Shen, Mrs. Liu, Mrs. Zhu, right? Go back and tell your family that the Hua group will cut off all business cooperation with your family. If you don't want to go bankrupt, find another family as soon as possible so that you don't end up on the streets." When they heard Hua Chenhuan's words, their expressions changed slightly. Mrs. Zhu, who had the best family background, couldn't help but take a step forward and say with some arrogance, "What right do you have to cut off family Hua's cooperation with us? You're just a..." Before Mrs. Zhu could finish her words, Hua Chenhuan interrupted her. "Because I'm the only legitimate heir of family Hua. Yanbai, see them out. I don't want to see these families again." Hua Qinhuan's words clearly meant that she wanted to blacklist these families completely. Zhou Yanbai respectfully responded with an excited smile in his eyes. Zhou Yanbai had always been nimble. As soon as Hua Qinhuan finished speaking, he rushed forward with a group of people and carried the women out. The women didn't expect Hua Qinhuan to really hit them. They struggled and cursed angrily, but it didn't change the fact that they were thrown out. When they were completely thrown out of the manor and the house was quiet again, Hua Qinhuan raised her eyes and glanced at Gu Xiaoyang. Gu Xiaoyang instantly understood and said with a smile, "There are too many people here, and we didn't notice that a few rats had sneaked in and affected everyone's mood. It's our negligence. Please don't mind it. After the banquet is over, we will prepare a small gift for each of you as an apology for what happened just now." As soon as Gu Xiaoyang's words came out, many people echoed and said that it was okay. The atmosphere seemed to have returned to the lively atmosphere before the accident, but there was an inexplicable depression. But no matter what, after such a ruckus, even if there were still people who ridiculed the marriage of the two, they didn't dare to rashly announce it. The word bankrupt was not a joke. Although some of them, like those women, were skeptical of Hua Qinhuan's words just now. However, it would be very foolish of him to bring trouble to his own family just because of a few words of gossip. The losses outweighed the gains. During the process of Hua Qinhuan throwing the women out, Su Yuding and the Su family were observing from the beginning to the end. When the matter was almost settled, she asked meaningfully, "Is what you said just now true? Can you influence the decision of the Hua family and make them bankrupt?" Hua Qinhuan's expression didn't change. She said indifferently, "Auntie, I never say things that I'm not sure about." Su Yuding raised her eyebrows slightly and continued to ask, "Isn't it making a mountain out of a molehill to make them bankrupt just because of a few words of gossip?" Chapter 261. Su Yuding stared at Hua Qinhuan for a long time before she finally smiled sincerely. "I like your personality. Yan Yan has good taste. At least he picked a responsible girl. As his aunt, I can rest assured." Qing Shuqin and the others couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when they heard her words. Children have their own lives. Children have their own ideas. As adults, we shouldn't interfere. Whatever we say now is meaningless. We should think about how to live a good life in the future. That's true. Su Yuding glanced sideways at Su Yiyan. Did you hear that? Since you're married, you should settle down and live a peaceful life. Don't let your parents worry about you. Got it. After that, no one mentioned those women who ruined the mood. However, this didn't mean that the matter was over. Not to mention that Hua Qinhuan had said that he would make them pay the price. Mr. Su and the others couldn't tolerate those gossipy women talking about him selling his daughter. Sooner or later, they would get back at them. Perhaps Hua Qinhuan's threat was effective, or perhaps no one dared to stir up trouble at night and risk being thrown to the bottom of the sea to feed the fish. When the banquet was completely over and the guests had all left, nothing else happened to spoil the mood. Mr. Su and the others were the last to leave. They reluctantly left the manor with Ling Xiaoqi and the others as bridesmaids. The two newlyweds finally had a chance to be alone. "I'm exhausted. I've been busy all day. It's even more tiring than when I worked in the shop." Su Yiyan rolled around on the soft bed and suddenly turned to look at Hua Qinhuan. She got up from the bed and sat on Hua Qinhuan's body. Like an octopus, she hugged his neck and rubbed against him. "But it's worth it. From today onwards, we're officially husband and wife." Hua Qinhuan's heart skipped a beat. He hugged Su Yiyan's waist back and said in a low voice, "Okay. Are you not happy?" Su Yiyan keenly sensed Hua Qinhuan's mood and looked up at him. Hua Qinhuan touched her face with the back of his hand and smiled. "No, I'm very happy. But why do I feel that you're not in a good mood? Are you not feeling well?" Hua Qinhuan shook his head again. After a moment of silence, he said apologetically, "Tonight is our wedding night, but I can't do anything." Su Yiyan was stunned. Only then did she remember the crux of the problem. She laughed and said, "Who said that we can't do anything? We can do a lot of things." "What? Did you get someone to make the bathtub I asked you to prepare?" "Yes, where?" "In the bathroom cubicle." Hua Qinhuan heard Su Yiyan say that she wanted to use the bathtub to take a bath. He thought that she didn't like to use a bathtub, so he asked someone to separate a small room in the original bathroom with a bead curtain and put the bathtub there. Su Yiyan immediately jumped down from Hua Qinhuan's body and rushed into the bathroom. After finding the bathtub in the small cubicle, her eyes lit up. She quickly began to add hot water and the medicinal herbs that she had prepared earlier. "What are you doing?" Hua Qinhuan saw this scene when he heard the noise and came over. Su Yiyan saw him coming over. She smiled and waved at him. "Come here, I'll help you take off your clothes." "Take off my clothes." Hua Qinhuan's hand that was holding the wheelchair handle suddenly paused. Chapter 262. Hua Qinhuan was caught off guard by Su Yiyan's rhetorical question. For a moment, he didn't know how to refute it. Su Yiyan had already soaked all the herbs. Seeing that Hua Qinhuan was still sitting there in a daze, Su Yiyan rolled her eyes and walked over with a smile. "It's not convenient for you. Let me help you." Hua Qinhuan seemed to wake up from a dream. Blushing slightly, he said, "No need. I can do it myself. It's too slow for you to do it yourself. Let me do it." Hua Qinhuan, Su Yiyan saw his resistance and teased, "Or are you embarrassed?" Hua Qinhuan didn't say anything, but the tips of his ears quietly turned red. The smile in Su Yiyan's eyes deepened. She chuckled and said, "We are husband and wife. What can I not see about you?" Hua Qinhuan. Although there was nothing wrong with what she said, didn't their identities switch? In the end, Hua Qinhuan couldn't resist Su Yiyan's fervent attacks. He had no choice but to agree to Su Yiyan's request. Hua Qinhuan was still wearing the white wedding suit outside and a white shirt inside. Su Yiyan took a deep breath and helped him unbutton his shirt one by one. She was like a child unwrapping a birthday present. Her eyes were shining, and there was a little excitement in them. In fact, the scene inside didn't disappoint her. Although Hua Qinhuan looked thin, he was the type who looked thin in clothes but had muscles when he took them off. Especially his arms, which were firm and muscular. Even if his lower body was paralyzed, he had never given up on training his upper body. Su Yiyan's first reaction was to blush when she saw this scene. However, when she saw Hua Qinhuan's legs, which had shrunk due to years of insomnia, her shyness was instantly replaced by heartache. Her eyes were slightly red as she caressed Hua Qinhuan's legs. Her movements were careful and without any lust, as if she was touching something fragile. Hua Qinhuan had long been used to people looking at his legs with contempt and disdain. However, he still felt a little sad when he saw Su Yiyan's sad gaze. He reached out to hold Su Yiyan's hand and said in a hoarse voice, "If you continue to touch them, I'll have to charge you." "Charge?" Su Yiyan was stunned. She raised her eyebrows and asked, "What kind of charge?" "If you touch me, you kiss me on the face, if you touch me twice, kiss on the forehead, kiss me on and so on and so on. If you can't pay, you can give yourself to me." When Su Yiyan heard the first few sentences, she felt that the payment method was a little familiar. She almost could not help but laugh when she heard the last sentence. Wasn't this charging method the VVV, special benefit for IP customers that she had previously set? Aren't you making a loss by charging so much? Lose? Of course. Su Yiyan took the initiative to kiss Hua Qinhuan. "I was originally yours. Don't you think you're losing out by exchanging your own things for these? When Su Yiyan said this, Hu Qinhuan's expression couldn't help but soften a little. Although the room was warm, it would still be cold after sitting for a long time. Su Yiyan didn't continue to explore Hu Qinhuan's legs. She whispered, "I'll help you sit in the bathtub." No need. With Su Yiyan's thin arms and legs, the bathtub was at least a little tall. Hu Qinhuan was still aware of his own weight and directly pressed the wheelchair below. Chapter 263. Although the wheelchair couldn't completely replace his legs, it could at least ensure that he didn't need to rely on others for his daily life. Su Yiyan watched Hu Qinhuan enter the tub with the help of the wheelchair and hurriedly asked, "How do you feel? Is it too hot? Do you want to add some cold water?" There was a seat at the bottom of the tub to ensure that after a person sat in it, the water could only stay near his shoulders. After sitting down, Hu Qinhuan smiled at Su Yiyan and comforted her, "It's okay. The temperature is suitable. It's just that the smell is a little strange. I added a lot of Chinese herbs to dredge the muscles and bones, promote blood circulation and remove blood stasis. It will smell a little strange." "Is it bad?" "It's not bad. It just feels a little special. I've never smelled this before. Bear with it for the sake of treatment. If you're not used to this smell, I'll change some herbs for you another day." "No need. I can accept this smell." Su Yiyan repeatedly confirmed that Hu Qinhuan really didn't reject this smell. She was relieved and asked with a smile, "Do you feel any difference in your body now?" Hu Qinhuan was silent for a moment and said honestly, "It's a little hot." "Hot? This is a normal reaction." Su Yiyan asked tentatively, "Can you feel the side of your legs?" Hu Qinhuan knew what Su Yiyan wanted to ask. She lowered her eyes and shook her head in disappointment. Su Yiyan's heart ached and she hurriedly comforted her, "It's okay. This is just the beginning. The medicinal diet and acupuncture haven't been done yet. You'll feel it one day." "Okay. It's your first time today, so you have to soak for more than half an hour. If you feel that the water is cold, remember to tell me. I'll add more water for you." "Okay." After testing the temperature of the water, Su Yiyan leaned on the edge of the tub and waited with Hu Qinhuan for time to pass. As she waited, she seemed to think of something and burst out laughing. Hu Qinhuan heard the sound and turned to look at her in confusion. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. It's just that when you sit in the tub, it's like sitting in a big pot." In particular, the color of the medicinal bath was brown. It looked like Su Yiyan's throat couldn't help but move. She smiled foolishly and said, "Add some star anise, cinnamon, nutmeg, fennel. The fragrance will spread for 10 miles. Literally, eat, calm." Hu Qinhuan soon realized that the person guarding him was so tired that she had fallen asleep. He felt helpless and a little distressed at the same time. He reached out and touched her cheek, only to see her lips moving slightly as if she was saying something. He leaned closer to listen carefully and heard her muttering, "Braised eggs, chicken legs, chicken feet, duck gizzards." Hu Qinhuan was slightly stunned and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He glanced at the time on the edge of the wheelchair and got up by holding the edge of the tub. He wanted to carry Su Yiyan back to the room. Unexpectedly, when he reached out, he heard Su Yiyan whisper again, "Qinhuan, I like you." Chapter 264. Su Yiyan slept until almost 9 o'clock the next day, perhaps because she had been too tired the previous day. Only then did she reluctantly wake up. In a daze, she heard a familiar chuckle. Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment before she realized that there was someone lying next to her. Her brain, which had just woken up from a deep sleep, was still a little dazed. She subconsciously moved back. The laughter by her ear paused, and then a familiar voice asked, "You're awake?" Only then did Su Yiyan remember that yesterday was her and Hu Qinhuan's official wedding day. Now, the person lying next to her was her husband. Realizing this, Su Yiyan's face suddenly turned red. She lowered her head slightly and said, "Morning." "Morning." Hu Qinhuan's lips curled up slightly, and he took the initiative to kiss Su Yiyan. The scene in front of him was something he had imagined countless times, but he did not dare to hope for. Now, it had become reality. After being kissed, Su Yiyan was still a little dazed. After a while, she remembered that she was shy. At the same time, she also remembered what happened last night. How did I fall asleep last night?" "You were too tired. You were busy the whole day, so you fell asleep lying next to the bathtub." Su Yiyan was even more embarrassed when she heard that. She had clearly said that she would accompany him, but in the end, she had fallen asleep first. "Were you the one who carried me to the bed?" "Yes." Su Yiyan did not dare to look into Hu Qinhuan's eyes. If Hu Qinhuan's body was fine, after sleeping last night, she was afraid that she would wake up in a different situation today. With that thought, Su Yiyan's face turned even redder. "Cough, did you soak enough time last night?" "Yes." Hu Qinhuan saw Su Yiyan's embarrassment. His eyes turned slightly, and he deliberately teased her. "You talked in your sleep last night." "Dream talk." Su Yiyan was shocked. "What did I say?" "You said." Hu Qinhuan dragged her words to keep him in suspense. When Su Yiyan's heart skipped a beat, she said faintly, "You like me. You like me very, very much. I'm the person you like the most in the world." Su Yiyan was stunned. When she came to her senses, her entire face turned red. Hu Qinhuan did not intend to let her go so easily. She smiled and said, "So, you like me so much." Su Yiyan's face was so hot that it could fry an egg. When she heard his words, she suddenly looked up at him. She got up and jumped onto Hu Qinhuan. "So what if I am? I was wrong to like my own husband." Hu Qinhuan looked at the person on top of him, and the teasing smile on his face gradually disappeared. She said fiercely that she liked him, but her flushed little face had already betrayed her. She was like a little kitten guarding its territory. All the hair on her body stood up, just to not show her fear. Hu Qinhuan's smile did not disappear. "Well, you didn't do anything wrong. You like me." Su Yiyan was stunned. Only then did she realize that she might have been fooled by Hu Qinhuan. She was embarrassed and angry. Before she could finish speaking, the door was suddenly opened from the outside. "Young master, young madam, are you awake? Uncle Zhang asked me to." Yu Xian's cheerful words came to an abrupt end. She stared blankly at the scene in the room. Su Yiyan widened her eyes in disbelief at the intruder. Before she could say anything, Yu Xian closed the door with a bang, as if he had been scalded. "I didn't see anything." "You can continue." After shouting, the sound of Yu Xian's running came from outside the door. This guy clearly realized that he had made a big mistake and fled to avoid punishment. Su Yiyan. Chapter 265. After Yu Xian ran away, the two of them looked at each other for 2 seconds. Su Yiyan was the first to react. She jumped off Hu Qinhuan's body and ran to the bathroom as if she was escaping. "I'm going to brush my teeth first. Get up quickly. Let's go down and eat." Hu Qinhuan looked at her fleeing figure and couldn't help smiling. She touched the spot where she was pulled and got up. When Su Yiyan pushed Hu Qinhuan downstairs, only Uncle Zhang was standing at the dining table, fiddling with things. Yu Xian was nowhere to be found. He probably had to hide outside to avoid trouble for the rest of the day. When Uncle Zhang heard the noise, he subconsciously turned his head and looked in the direction of the sound. When he saw the two of them coming down hand in hand, his eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "Young master, young madam is awake. The kitchen just made a few more snacks today. Young madam, take a look and see if they are to your liking." Su Yiyan pushed Hu Chenhuan to the dining table. She glanced at the snacks on the table and was stunned. These snacks, Uncle Zhang knew what Su Yiyan wanted to ask, so he explained first. Young madam made a lot of snacks for young master. These snacks were made by the family's chef. The taste is definitely better than the ones you made. Time is tight this morning. Young madam, you can eat some first. When we return to the family mansion tomorrow, I'll ask the kitchen to make more delicious snacks for you and young master. When Su Yiyan heard him say this, she was surprised and amazed. The family Hui's chef could recreate the same snacks just by looking at them. This family's chef was really talented. Su Yiyan walked to the seat next to Hu Chenhuan and sat down. She first picked up a soup dumpling and then an egg tart. She realized that not only did the snacks look the same, but they also tasted similar to the ones she made. She immediately sighed. Your family's chef is really amazing. When Hu Chenhuan heard Su Yiyan praising the family's chef, her eyes flashed. She said in a deep voice, "You're even better. Their food isn't as good as yours." Su Yiyan's hand paused. She couldn't help but smile sweetly. "Then I'll make all your meals from now on." Before they got married, Su Yiyan often gave him special treatment. Now that they were married and living together, she naturally had to take care of everything and make more supplements for Hu Chenhuan's body. When Hu received an affirmative answer, her face softened. When he heard the two's conversation, the smile on his face became more and more sincere. Not to mention that there weren't many people who knew how to cook these days. Even if they did, very few people would be willing to provide 3 meals a day for the people around them, not to mention Su Yiyan, who was pampered since she was young. She was a rich young lady who had been pampered since she was young. Uncle Zhang was an old man in the family Hua. When Hu Chenhuan's parents were still alive, he had been working in the family Hua. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he had watched Hu Chenhuan grow up. When he first found out about the reason for their marriage, he had some guesses and prejudices against Su Yiyan. However, during this period of time, he had seen Su Yiyan's care for Hu Chenhuan. Now that he saw the way the two of them interacted, he couldn't help but sigh. The young master had good taste. He liked Miss Su at first glance. Unlike some people who mistook fish eyes for pearls, they would regret it one day. Su Yiyan didn't know what Uncle Zhang was thinking. Just as she was about to pick up another bun, a bowl of fragrant red bean porridge was placed in front of her. Chapter 266. Su Yiyan looked in the direction of the hand that was holding the porridge and immediately met Uncle Zhang's kind eyes. "I heard that on ancient Earth, the bride must eat a bowl of red bean porridge on the second day of her wedding to express the joyous occasion. Young mistress, since you like ancient Earth foods so much, you must like this custom too, so I asked the kitchen to make this bowl of red bean porridge." Su Yiyan was speechless. Red bean porridge was indeed a symbol of the couple's lingering feelings after marriage, but if she remembered correctly, when ancient Earth people drank red bean porridge on the second day of their wedding, it usually meant that the two of them were already. When she thought of this, Su Yiyan's face immediately flushed red. She opened her mouth to explain that nothing had happened between them last night, but then she remembered that the two of them were now husband and wife, so it would be strange if nothing had happened between them. She could only silently accept this hint and drink the red bean porridge mouthful by mouthful with a red face. When Uncle Zhang saw that she was obediently drinking the porridge, he felt rather comforted. After the two newlyweds entered the house last night, he was still a little worried and stood outside for a long time to listen in. He clearly heard Su Yiyan say that she wanted to help Hu Chenhuan take off her clothes. Uncle Zhang's first thought at that time was that this young mistress looked young and immature. He didn't expect her to be so proactive in front of his young master. However, this was also good. With his young master's temperament, he really needed a proactive girl to complement him. In addition, when Su Yiyan pushed Hu Chenhuan downstairs, she subconsciously held her waist a few times. She was exhausted from standing for so long yesterday, so Uncle Zhang was even more certain that the two of them had done what they should have done last night. Su Yiyan still didn't know that her simple action of holding her waist had inexplicably turned into a huge melon because of the old man's imagination. After breakfast, she pushed Hu Chenhuan outside to admire the flowers and digest her food. "Oh right, did you feel uncomfortable after the medicinal bath last night?" When Su Yiyan said this, she couldn't help but feel a little regretful. "Last night, How did I fall asleep?" "I'm fine. I didn't feel any discomfort after the bath yesterday. On the contrary, I feel that my limbs aren't as cold as before. I slept very well yesterday." Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief when she heard what he said. "That's good. The fact that your limbs are warm means that your blood is circulating. I'll give you acupuncture and massage in the evening. Then, I'll prepare some medicinal cuisine to go with it. Let's see how it works." "Yes." Hu Chenhuan's cooperation made Su Yiyan happy, but she was also curious. "You're just letting me do whatever I want. Aren't you afraid that I'm messing around and treating you badly?" "You won't." Su Yiyan was slightly startled. "Why? You can't bear to." Being exposed, Su Yiyan groaned gloomily. "Now you are confident. I wonder who was the one who was afraid that I would dislike him." Hu Chenhuan instinctively turned to look at her and teased, "At that time, I didn't know you liked me so much. Of course I was worried. Now you know." "Yes." "Humph." Su Yiyan groaned proudly, but she didn't refute Hu Chenhuan's words. Hu Chenhuan raised the corner of his mouth. Immediately, he seemed to think of something and asked in a low voice, "Aren't you going out today?" Su Yiyan suddenly stopped and said unhappily, "It's only the first day of our marriage. Do you want to drive me out?" "No, I just heard from your brother that you've been very busy every day since you opened the shop." Chapter 267. Unfortunately, the conditions didn't allow it, so she could only leave this regret for the future. While the two were talking, Dun Dun, who had been locked upstairs and hadn't been released yesterday, finally regained his freedom and rushed out of the house happily. He kept circling around Su Yiyan and barking. Only then did Su Yiyan remember this dog's son who had been neglected by her for a long time. Her eyes turned slightly, and she leaned close to Hu Chenhuan's ear and asked with a smile, "Are you afraid of noise?" "Noise? I want Xiaoqi to bring Hua Hua over. Look at how much our son misses his wife." Su Yiyan said and looked meaningfully at Dun Dun. Dun Dun seemed to understand her words. He kicked his legs forward and collapsed on the ground, looking at his dog father eagerly. "Hu Chenhuan, you're the mistress of the manor. You decide." "Okay, I'll call her now. I'll make delicious food for you at noon." As soon as she said that, Dun Dun immediately barked a few times happily, as if he knew that he would soon be able to meet his dream love dog. The reason why Su Yiyan asked Ling Xiaoqi to come over at this time wasn't just for Dun Dun, but also because she wanted to call more people to eat together and liven things up. At that time, the foodie patients who were complaining on the internet that Su Yiyan was lazy in doing business and that the shop had only been open for 3 days before she left the customers to get married. She was really too irresponsible. Suddenly, a reminder popped up as they scrolled. Su Yiyan's live broadcast room, which had been closed for nearly a week, was now live. "Look at what I saw." The missing person is back online. Hey, didn't the little cutie who went to the shop say that the streamer went to get married? Why is she live broadcasting at this time? Who cares why the streamer is live broadcasting at this time? It's good that there's food to eat. Streamer, are you releasing a new product today? Su Yiyan looked at the various messages that flew across the screen, as well as the increasing number of viewers in the upper right corner of the screen. He smiled and said, I did go to get married. Today is the first day of my wedding. I wanted to share the good news with everyone, so I started the live broadcast. As soon as Su Yiyan's words came out, the live stream instantly exploded. It's the host's first day of marriage, yet she still has so much energy. Looks like it's the host's husband's fault. He, what are you talking about, upstairs? I'm still a pure and innocent baby. I don't understand. I'm curious about what the host looks like. I'm curious about what the host's husband looks like. I'm curious about the host and her husband's wedding. I'm curious about everything, but what I'm most curious about is how the host spent last night. You're all bad, but I like it. Host, please do a live broadcast of the wedding night. Su Yiyan's mouth twitched when he saw that the topic in the live broadcast room was beginning to deviate. Just as he was about to change the topic, he heard a familiar notification sound. Congratulations to the host, Yan, for receiving 10 luxurious and exquisite villas sent by a loyal viewer, Mulberry Without Mountain. Congratulations to the host, Yan, for receiving 520 giant oil tankers sent by a loyal viewer, Mulberry Without Mountain. Congratulations to the host, Yan, for receiving 9,999 roses sent by a loyal viewer, Mulberry Without Mountain. A series of special gift effects almost overshadowed the comments that filled the screen. Many people spontaneously stopped spamming the screen when they saw the rows of gifts. Soon, only a colorful message was left on the originally crowded screen. Chapter 268. The bullet screen, which had finally calmed down, seemed to have flipped a switch and began to flood the screen with congratulatory messages. In the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room, Wei-Chenhuan's series of gifts might just be to congratulate Su Yiyan on his marriage. Only Su Yiyan knew that he might have done this simply because he didn't want others to ask about what happened last night. Thinking of this, Su Yiyan's face turned red again. Thank you, everyone. In order to celebrate my marriage, 3 lucky viewers will be given some braised food today. In addition, the guests who go to the restaurant tomorrow will be given a red egg as a wedding gift. Red egg? What is a red egg? Is it an egg with a red shell? What kind of animal's egg is red? Red eggs are eggs that have been dyed with pigment. Giving out red eggs to relatives and friends on festive occasions such as weddings, childbirth, and even the child's 1-month-old birthday is a custom on ancient Earth. It implies prosperity and auspiciousness in the future. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, many people were moved. So there is such a meaning. I must go to the host's shop tomorrow to get a red egg and freeload off her auspicious aura. Maybe my Prince Charming will appear soon and come to marry me on a rainbow cloud. The host's auspicious aura is not something that ordinary people can freeload off. I want to get a red egg too. Pray that I will be promoted and rich next year and quickly become a billionaire. A group of people began to make all kinds of wishes and pray for the next year in a gourmet live broadcast room. Those who didn't know better would think that they had accidentally joined a fan group. Su Yiyan let them make a fuss and found what he wanted from the freezer. Pork belly, duck gizzard, duck heart. It seems like I'm still missing something. As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Uncle Zhang walked in from outside with a big box of clean chicken feet in his hand. Young madam, these are the chicken feet you wanted. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. He hurried forward and took the box of chicken feet. Thank you. There is a lot of smoke in here. Uncle Zhang, you should go outside and wait. It will be ready soon. Okay. I'll go out now. This short interlude once again caused a heated discussion among the audience in the live broadcast room. Young madam. So the host is now at her husband's house. Is the person above stupid? The host and her husband have already had their wedding. Naturally, they have to live together. I was so happy before, I didn't notice that the background of the host's house has changed. But it's still as high-end as before. Of course, not all the comments were so harmonious. Soon, someone in the live broadcast room hinted that Su Yiyan had hooked up with a rich man. Such comments were quickly cleared, and the person who posted it was banned. However, there were still quite a few audience members who saw it. Unfortunately, most of them treated it as a joke. Are these days, edition. The streamer herself is a rich woman. She just married another rich man of equal social status. Can't some people hold back their jealousy? Chapter 269. Although Su Yian's live stream was not long, she had a lot of die-hard foodie fans. In addition, since the store was open for business, most people who went to the store to eat the medicinal cuisine felt the difference in their physical condition and attracted another wave of loyal fans. When Su Yiyan was a newcomer, many people wanted to defame her but failed. Now, it was needless to say. Su Yiyan put the chicken feet next to other ingredients and watched the audience speak up for her. Her heart felt warm. The next second, she saw someone asking about the chicken feet in her hand. You are all hating the rich, but I only care about the chicken feet in the streamer's hand. I've eaten this thing before. It doesn't have any meat, and it doesn't taste good after being stewed. I'm curious what the streamer will make it taste like. Don't worry, the previous fish was the same. In my impression, even if a lot of ginger was added to the fish, it still had a fishy smell. But the spicy boiled fish made people swallow their tongues. This will definitely work. Is the streamer going to add chili? I feel that chili can suppress many dishes with strong flavors. Spicy fans are looking forward to it. He had to admit that the foodies were very capable. He had only watched Su Yian's live stream a few times, and he had figured out that chili peppers could cover up many dishes with strong flavors and make them taste better. If it's chili, a little pepper will be added. The taste is not obvious. But you're right. If the chicken feet are delicious, chili can be used to flavor it. But today, I'm going to make a different method. When there's a chance next time, I'll teach you how to make something else. Su Yiyan was not surprised by the audience's comments on the chicken feet. In this era where Chinese herbs and chili were scarce, it was impossible for pickled pepper chicken feet and braised chicken feet to appear. But if it were not for these two, the chicken feet would always feel like they lacked a certain soul. This was also the reason why Su Yiyan had asked Uncle Zhang if there were any ready-made ingredients in the kitchen. After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she set up a pot, added water, and began to add the braising ingredients into the gauze bag. Star anise, cardamom, bay leaf, tangerine peel, cinnamon, fennel. Unlike the previous live streams, Su Yiyan did not explain the effects of the herbs to the audience one by one. This was because there were too many herbs to be used in the braising material. As the audience listened to the fresh medicinal herbs that they had never heard of before, they suddenly realized that the host might be preparing a big move. They looked forward to the pot of stew that looked like a hodgepodge. Only Hu Chenhuan, upon hearing Su Yiyan's introduction, subconsciously recalled what Su Yiyan had said the night before. Then, he looked at the pot of stew that was gradually boiling. Hu Chenhuan. So, you really want to cook me and eat me? The boiling hot water gradually brought the smell of the braised ingredients in the gauze bag together with the fragrance of the pork ribs that had been prepared earlier into the soup. The overbearing aroma instantly swept through the small kitchen and the live stream room. It even drifted outside the courtyard. Ling Xiaoqi and Zui Yanbai, who had heard the news and rushed over to eat and drink, were shocked. It also made the audience in the live stream room go crazy. What is this smell? How can it be so fragrant? Oh no, I'm already drooling before I even put the ingredients in. Chapter 270. The flavor of the marinade was obviously much milder than that of the chili, but its aroma was not inferior to that of the chili at all. Su Yiyan also considered that Hu Qinhuan's taste was strong and that she could not eat too much chili, so she could try this marinade. Moreover, this pot of marinade was well preserved and could be braised several times. The more it was braised, the more fragrant it would be. As long as she threw in the ingredients she wanted to eat, she could quickly braise a large pot of delicious food. It was very convenient. Su Yiyan had just put a few kinds of hard-to-cook meat into the marinade when she heard Ling Xiaoqi's voice from outside. Yan, what are you doing? Why is it so fragrant? A girl's voice. Is there a young lady in the host's house? It's my friend. I cooked a lot today, so I asked her to come over and eat with me. As expected, this attracted a bunch of messages asking to be friends. At this time, they were not envious of Su Yiyan's mysterious husband anymore. They were envious of her friend. Wouldn't it be nice to have such a good friend who would come over to eat and drink from time to time? Su Yiyan did not know what they were thinking. She turned around and went out of the kitchen to ask Ling Xiaoqi to sit down first, but found that Zui Yanbai and the others were also there. Are you here to look for Qinhuan? Zui Yanbai reacted quickly and said seriously, yes, there are a few documents in the company that require the young master's signature. We brought them over. Su Yiyan did not suspect anything. Thank you for your hard work. It will be almost noon in a while. Stay for lunch before you go back. Their eyes lit up slightly, but they pretended to decline. How can we do that? Will it be too much trouble for you? It's okay. It won't take much time to make a few dishes. It won't take much time. The two were waiting for her to say this. Without thinking, they said, then it's better to decline courteously than decline courteously. Su Yiyan. She felt that something was not right. Fortunately, Su Yiyan did not think too much about it. She turned around and went into the kitchen to continue the live broadcast. She put the ingredients that she had prepared earlier into the braising sauce and let it cook by the side. He then picked up a small tool and crushed the spices such as star anise leaves and soaked them in white wine for a period of time. At the same time, he took out the butter that he had prepared earlier and placed it into the wok to stir-fry together with the onions and shallots until they were fragrant. Then, he scooped out everything inside, leaving only the oil. After that, add in ginger, garlic, rock sugar, fermented beans, and chopped chili to stir-fry. Finally, add in pepper, chili, and the previously mashed spices, fermented glutinous rice, and other ingredients to stir-fry until it thickens. Let it cool and wait for it to solidify. The viewers in the live stream room had long been hooked by the aroma of the braised ingredients. When they smelled the hot pot ingredients, they almost ascended to heaven on the spot. F***ck, this smell is too strong. There was still an hour before lunch break, but my stomach was already growling loudly. Now, a group of people are watching me. I can't wait to dig a hole and bury myself. Ha 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 ha, upstairs, I understand. My stomach is also growling because of the smell in the live stream room. Fortunately, the taste and smell simulator can only be used on the host. Otherwise, my entire office would probably surround me and eat me. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of complaints and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. She opened the ceramic jar at the side and took a look at the big bone soup that the family huish chef had stewed early in the morning. Chapter 271. After doing that, Su Yiyan began to prepare the ingredients for the hot pot seasoning. First, there were some potatoes, taro, lettuce, radishes, and other vegetables. Then, there were some beef slices, pork, duck hearts, and duck gizzards. She cut everything, especially the beef and potatoes, which needed to be sliced. They were all cut to about the same size. Unsurprisingly, it attracted another round of praise. After she finished cutting these, the braised food on the side was almost ready. As soon as she opened the lid, the fragrant smell immediately rushed out. It was a bit stronger than before. Not to mention the people waiting outside, many viewers in the live broadcast room who had turned on their virtual sense of smell subconsciously swallowed their saliva. Su Yiyan poked the things in the pot with her chopsticks. After making sure that they were almost cooked, she picked them out one by one and put them on the plate. As soon as she put them down, the viewers who had been waiting for a long time quickly tasted them. The bullet screen was dense again. Oh, this meat tastes so fragrant. It's 100 times more fragrant than the braised pork I ate before. After tasting it, I only have one thought. Give me a bucket of white rice. I can eat the streamer's family until they become poor. Well, I've been slapped in the face again. Although this chicken feet doesn't have much meat, it's salty and crispy. The more I eat it, the more I want to eat it. I feel like I can eat it all day if you give me a plate. I'm so hungry, I'm really hungry. So hungry, I'm really hungry. Does the streamer lack friends? As long as they provide 3 meals, they can accompany you to go shopping, bring you tea, and be at your beck and call. Su Yiyan was amused by the audience's fancy requests for food. After putting away the braised food, she glanced at the hot pot seasoning that she had cooked before. It was already winter, and the weather was very cold. The hot pot seasoning in the pot had been stifled for more than half an hour and had already turned into oil cubes. Su Yiyan scooped up the small red oil cubes and put them into another pot. Then, she filled it with hot water. The soup base immediately turned red and emitted a tempting fragrance. It was also her first time making hot pot. She didn't customize it in advance, and it was impossible to buy a half-and-half double pot outside. She could only cook a pot of soup with 2 flavors. When the time came, they could choose according to their tastes. After doing all this, Su Yiyan sighed softly and smiled slightly. You've all tried the braised food, so I won't talk about it. Just now, someone asked me what this is. It's called hot pot seasoning. It's a kind of special soup base. With this soup base, you only need to prepare these ingredients in advance. After cooking them, you'll be able to eat delicious food. The reason why I prepared 2 pots is because everyone has different tastes. Some people like spicy food, while others can't handle spicy food. Hot pot was considered a food from ancient Earth. Considering the taste, there was a special pot with a piece of metal in the middle that divided the pot into 2. One side was filled with spicy soup while the other side was filled with clear soup. It was also known as the Mandarin duck pot. This way, family and friends can gather together to eat without having to worry about different tastes. Su Yiyan's words made the audience yearn for it, but they did not expect to hear Su Yiyan say in the next second, hot pot needs to be boiled and eaten on the spot, so I won't let you guys eat the broadcast. The braised food will be put online tomorrow. Most people can eat it, but don't eat too much at once. It's easy to get heaty. Since I'm in a rather remote place right now, I won't be doing the lucky draw today. See you tomorrow at the shop. Chapter 272. Dinner is ready. Come and help me out. Zhuo Yanbai and the others were already tempted by the aroma, and their necks were almost stretched out like swans' necks. Upon hearing Su Yiyan's words, they immediately rushed into the kitchen and asked enthusiastically, "Is there anything we need to move?" Su Yiyan was shocked by their shining eyes. After a few seconds, she said, "These 2 pots of soup have to be carried to the front. Set them up." "Understood, just leave it to us." "Young mistress, please move aside so that you don't get scalded." As Gu Xiaoyang spoke, he pushed Su Yiyan aside and followed Zhuo Yanbai to carry out the soup. Not long after the 2 of them left, Uncle Zhang and Ling Xiaoqi came in. "Young mistress, please wait outside. We'll carry these out." After Uncle Zhang finished speaking, he politely drove Su Yiyan out. Su Yiyan was confused. Su Yiyan felt that she had been abandoned after being used. She helplessly turned around and left the kitchen to find her husband to comfort her broken heart. Hua Qinhuan happened to be coming downstairs after watching the live broadcast. Su Yiyan met him as soon as she came out of the kitchen. Her eyes lit up as she talked to him about the dishes she had just cooked. "I made braised food in hot pot. There are 2 flavors. You should prefer spicy hot pot, but you just took a medicinal bath last night. I have to perform acupuncture on you tonight, so you can only eat a little spicy food. Let's eat the lighter one today, okay?" Since the dishes were made by Su Yiyan, Hua Qinhuan naturally had no objections. "Okay." Seeing that he was so cooperative, Su Yiyan couldn't help but lean over and kiss him. Zhuo Yanbai and Gu Xiaoyang were about to go back to the kitchen to see if there was anything else they needed help with when they bumped into Uncle Zhang and the others. They also happened to see Su Yiyan's family. Therefore, when Su Yiyan raised his head after kissing her, he was met with the astonished gazes of several people. "Ahem, since everyone is here, let's start eating." Su Yiyan quickly pushed Hua Qinhuan to the table and pretended to be a quail. A gentle smile flashed across Hua Qinhuan's eyes. However, when she looked at Zhuo Yanbai and the others, her eyes were a little colder, and there was a hint of warning in them. The few of them shuddered and no longer dared to look around. They obediently ran to the kitchen and continued to move things. Although Su Yiyan had prepared a lot of ingredients, it was enough for everyone to make 2 trips back and forth. Putting down the dishes in their hands, no one raised their chopsticks. Instead, each and every one of them looked at Su Yiyan eagerly, as if they were little chicks waiting to be fed. "Su Yiyan, cough, this is a spicy pot, and this is a big bone clear soup pot. You can choose according to your preferences. When the soup is boiling, you can add things to it." As Su Yiyan spoke, he began to add lotus root slices, cucumbers, and other vegetables, as well as beef slices into the pot. The vegetables and beef slices are easier to cook. You can eat them when they float. The beef slices don't have to be boiled for too long. You can scoop them out after boiling them for a few times. If you boil them for too long, they will become overcooked and won't taste good. As Su Yiyan spoke, he demonstrated to the others. After the demonstration, he turned around and handed the boiled beef to Hua Qinhuan. "Try it." Under everyone's envious gazes, Hua Qinhuan lowered his head and took a bite of the beef. The well-cooked beef was tender and delicious. Paired with the rich bone broth and the dipping sauce that Su Yiyan had made, it tasted special. Delicious. Chapter 273. They couldn't say anything, so they turned their grief into appetite and clumsily learned from Su Yiyan to cook the hot pot with the serving chopsticks. At first, they were a little unfamiliar with it, but later, they slowly realized the joy of cooking by themselves. After Su Yiyan helped Hua Qinhuan boil a few things, she looked at Uncle Zhang, who was standing by the side. She smiled faintly and said, "Uncle Zhang, sit down and eat with us." I've prepared a lot, and we won't be able to finish it all by ourselves. Well. Uncle Zhang hesitated, but Hu Qinhuan spoke before he did. Sit down. It's more lively with more people. Uncle Zhang was a little stunned. He thought that since Master and Madam passed away and Hu Qinhuan's leg became like this, the family began to become like a big ice house. There were no more relatives or friends, and young Master became taciturn. He didn't interact with people easily, and he didn't even go out. But now, there was finally some warmth and life in the ice house. The boiling hot pot dispelled the cold of winter and made the old man's eyes red. Uncle Zhang held the bowl and looked at the two people opposite him, who only had eyes for each other. He lowered his head and smiled with relief. Gu Xiaoyang happily picked up a spicy beef slice and put it in the bowl. When he was about to eat, he suddenly felt a hand touching his thigh. Gu Xiaoyang's hand trembled, and he almost screamed on the spot. The next second, he saw Yu Zian poke his head out from under the table and make a gesture to him to keep quiet. Gu Xiaoyang. What was going on? Yu Zian put his palms together and made a gesture to him, but his eyes were glued to the beef slice in Gu Xiaoyang's hand. Gu Xiaoyang was embarrassed. He thought of what Yu Zian had said when he tipped him off, and understood instantly. This guy was afraid that young Master would punish him for what happened in the morning, but he was reluctant to give up the delicious food in his mouth. Gu Xiaoyang sighed. In the end, he still cared about Yu Zian's credit for tipping him off, so he secretly put the beef slice under the table for Yu Zian. After that, the two of them began to eat and feed each other in a harmonious manner. Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan were busy feeding each other, so they didn't have time to care about the others. Uncle Zhang and the others were further away, so everything was fine at first. Until, Ling Xiaoqi felt the tablecloth shaking slightly under the table. She looked down and saw a hand on the floor not far away. Ling Xiaoqi narrowed her eyes and stood up with a scream. Su Yiyan and the others were shocked. What's wrong? There's someone down there. Gu Xiaoyang looked embarrassed. Su Yiyan and the others also changed their expressions. Subconsciously, they pulled Hu Qinhuan and moved back to keep a distance from the table. Hua Hua, who had been sitting nearby and ignoring Dundan's harassment, thought that something had happened when she heard her owners scream. With a whoosh, she darted under the table and bit Yu Zian's fleshy butt. Ah! An excessively shrill scream resounded throughout the manor, and the servants who were cleaning outside the courtyard were so scared that they trembled. Everyone in the room watched as a familiar figure crawled out from under the table, wailing and jumping up and down like a monkey. Upon closer inspection, they saw a half-grown corgi cub on Yu Zian's butt, biting the part with the most meat. No matter how Yu Zian struggled and begged for mercy, the cub wouldn't let go and vowed to bite off a piece of Yu Zian's meat. Chapter 274. However, this was not the worst part. When Dun Dun saw that his wife had rushed out and was still hanging behind Yu Zian's butt, he was stunned for 2 or 3 seconds before he also rushed over. With a flying pounce, he bit Yu Zian's other butt. Everyone. So miserable. Su Yiyan and the others were stunned for a few seconds before they recovered from Yu Zian's wailing. They wanted to help, but they didn't know what to do. The scene was a little chaotic for a moment. Ling Xiaoqi didn't expect Hua Hua to suddenly rush out. She was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. She hurriedly shouted, "Hua Hua, let go, don't bite." Su Yiyan heard this and quickly echoed, "Yes, yes, yes, Dun Dun, let go. Don't put anything in your mouth. What if you bite something dirty and have diarrhea?" Zhua Yanbai and the others. "Young madam, is this the main point?" But it turned out that Su Yiyan's words were useful. When the 2 dogs heard her shout, their small bodies stiffened. Finally, they let go of Yu Zian's mouth and jumped down. As soon as the two dogs let go, Yuzian jumped a few more times on the spot. His body fell forward and he collapsed on the ground with his face facing the ground. Fortunately, the weather was cold and the room was covered with blankets. Otherwise, with the force of his fall, he would definitely be disfigured. Gu Xiaoyang and Zhua Yanbai watched the two corgis jump down from Yuzian and walk away before they dared to go forward to check on his condition. After confirming that he should be alive, they raised their hands and poked his head. They gloated and said, "Are you still alive?" Yuzian moved his head and buried his face in the carpet again, unwilling to come out. Let him die. Not only was he caught stealing food, but he was also bitten in the butt by two dogs in front of so many people. His reputation in this life was completely ruined. Yuzian was both embarrassed and in pain. She wished she could travel back in time to half an hour ago and give herself a good beating to wake up from the temptation of delicious food. Ling Xiaoqi wasn't stupid. When she saw how familiar the two of them were with Yuzian, she knew that he was probably someone from Hu Qinhuan's family. Feeling a little awkward, she hugged Hua Hua and said, "I'm sorry." Hu Qinhuan glanced at Yuzian. No need to apologize. He asked for it. Instead of sitting in a good seat, he insisted on hiding under the table. As for the reason, it was easy to guess with a little thought. It wasn't the first or second time that this brat had barged in without knocking first. This was a good opportunity to teach him a lesson. If he dared to do this again, he would close the door and play Dun-Dun. Dun-Dun, who was inexplicably entrusted with such an important task. At that time, Yuzian didn't know his young master's sinister intentions. When he heard Hu Qinhuan say this, he whimpered and buried his face in the carpet again, even more unwilling to get up. Su Yiyan saw him like this and felt a little sympathetic. He asked in a low voice, "Why are you hiding under the table? Do you want to take advantage of our Xiaoqi?" Yuzian's whole body shook. He didn't care about his face and the burning pain in his butt. He said anxiously, No, I definitely don't have such an idea." "Then why?" Yuzian opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. Seeing that he didn't respond, Su Yiyan became more and more certain of his thoughts. He looked at Yuzian with eyes full of pain and disappointment, as if saying, "I didn't expect you to be such a person." Chapter 275. Perhaps because Yuzian's expression was too sullen, Gu Xiaoyang and the others standing on the side couldn't help laughing out loud. When Yuzian heard them laughing, he felt even more ashamed and angry. Fortunately, although the two laughed, they still helped Yuzian explain. "Young madam, Zian didn't mean to offend Miss Ling. He just wanted to eat your food too much. If he wants to eat my food, then eat it. How can I be so stingy as to not let him eat it? He did something wrong this morning and was worried that you and young master would blame him." This morning? Su Yiyan suddenly realized. "Are you talking about what happened this morning? We've almost forgotten about it, but you still remember it. But it wasn't a big deal, so you don't have to be so nervous. Do you think we'll eat you?" Yuzian thought to himself, "You can't eat me, but you can make me unlucky. Especially young master." With his vengeful temper, it was impossible for him not to be unlucky these days. As if reading Yuzian's mind, Su Yiyan asked Hu Qinhuan after she finished speaking, "Qinhuan, don't you think so?" Hu Qinhuan's eyes flickered, and naturally agreed with his wife unconditionally. "Yes. Yuzian. So I'm just being unreasonable and worrying for nothing." Yuzian gave up struggling. He lowered his head and looked like he had nothing to live for. Ling Xiaoqi, on the other hand, was a little curious. What did he do this morning? Why is he so scared? Su Yiyan coughed softly, straightened her face, and changed the topic. "It's nothing. Which one of you take him to treat his wound? Also, remember to get vaccinated. Although Dun Dun and Hua Hua have both been vaccinated, it's better to be safe than sorry. As soon as Su Yiyan said that, Gu Xiaoyang and Gu Xiaoyang immediately took 3 steps back and distanced themselves from Yu Ziyan by 3 meters. Obviously, neither of them wanted to miss such a rare meal just to send him to be bandaged. Yu Ziyan. Maldif *Ker was a living person like him, not as important as a meal. He finally saw through these two fellows. Plastic brotherhood, goodbye. Although, if he thought about it from another perspective, if they were bitten and asked him to send them to the hospital, he would actually not be very willing. In the end, it was Uncle Zhang who called for help to escort him off the island. Before he left, Yu Ziyan looked at them with an extremely sad expression. Especially when he saw the table full of unfinished dishes, he was so regretful that his intestines turned green. As soon as Yu Ziyan left, Su Yiyan and the others sat back down and started eating. While helping Hu Chenhuan cook, Su Yiyan recalled Yu Ziyan's expression when he left and couldn't help but laugh. I'll cook some porridge and have someone send it to Ziyan later. He just ate a few mouthfuls, so he's definitely not full yet. Hu Chenhuan frowned. Although she didn't object, there was still a hint of jealousy in her eyes. Su Yiyan laughed and coaxed her in a low voice, after all, it's our family's dog that bit someone. We have to do something. It was as if their child had gotten into trouble, and as parents, they had to do something to compensate the people who had been harmed by their child. Hu Chenhuan's jealousy dissipated in an instant, and she said awkwardly, "Thank you for your hard work. It's okay. Our Dun Dun is so naughty. I'm used to it." You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.